Okay, I am going to walk you through the real-time process of how I ditch a die to send off to my dental lab for them to make a cast or pressed restoration. So I had a patient where we prepared full gold crowns on tooth number 30 and 31. We milled provisionals from the Prime Scan and MCXL, and right before I hit start mill, what I did is I exported my file as a DXD to a removable media device. Now I went ahead and I hit mill or grind for my restorations, and they're actually in the process of milling right now. So I have about 15 minutes for myself to go ahead and get my case ready to send to the dental lab. So I went ahead and I hit import, and I'm back on my laboratory computer while my restorations are being fabricated. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to import the DXD of my provisional restorations and my marked margins that I'm going to verify radiographically. So the only thing that we're going to do is click model. We'll click upper. We'll click lower. We'll click next. We're going to set our model axis really quick. And you can see we've got a model axis issue, so we're going to go ahead and adjust our model axis so we no longer have that issue. Overall, I'm happy with that. We're going to leave the jaw line alone. We'll click OK. We're going to go ahead and click Create Model. So when we click Create Model, it's going to take the margins that we're fabricating our provisional restorations to, and it's going to make them sacred. So right now in our workflow, we don't have a single click alternative for how to do this. So this is the best way, and with our government license, we do have access to in-lab as long as you have a computer to install it on. So you can see my marked margins in red. What I'm going to do is we're going to go ahead and we're going to click Clean Model. We're going to go ahead and click Apply. This is just a semi-necessary step, especially if you're going to print your models out. This is a thing that you have to do to make sure they're printable. I just always do it because it makes my models nice and smooth, and when I take it back into the software later on, it just looks a little bit better. Now we're going to go ahead and click Next. We're going to get rid of the upper jaw. You can see we have this red line all the way around our gold crown prep restorations. So we're going to go ahead and click Create Stump, but instead of creating a stump, we're just going to create a ditch. So I'm usually somewhere around 0.6, 0.8, somewhere around there, something that's just going to make this readable and easy for my laboratory technician. Okay, so now you can see once we hit Apply, we have this really nice marked area all the way around that's going to make it almost impossible to mess up drawing the margin later on. Because when we export this STL, we're not going to have a sacred margin anymore. This is our way to ensure that what you see in this picture right here on the screen is exactly the surface the laboratory technician is going to use to fabricate the intaglio of our new restoration. So it's going to take a minute or two for it to finalize the ditching of this model. Overall, you can see we have a really nice model, very easy margins to read. So what are we going to do next? Well, the first thing we're going to do is click Single File Export, and we're going to export our buccal bite. What this is going to do, we'll put 30, 31, buccal bite. This is actually going to export both the upper and lower models together as one solid piece. So what you would see right here is being exported into an STL file as one piece. So now this becomes our buccal bite image of the full arch. The next thing we're going to do is unclick the box. We're going to click Export, and we are going to save this as an STL, and we are going to say 30, 31. These are the models. We'll click Save. Now it's going to export the lower arch and the upper arch as two separate STL files. Well, here's the important thing. If we were to go ahead and take this model without a buccal bite in the model builder and we sent this off to our lab, they'd have no reference of the top jaw to the bottom jaw. So let me show you a quick example of what I mean. So if we were to take our active jaw and import it into a 3D software, typically an STL file, when you import them and append them together, they'll have a relative position that was similar to your buccal bite. When we use a model builder, what you can see here is that it loses that three-dimensional orientation. So what we need is this solid model right here. And now this is going to act as our reference. So at this point, you could send this model, the upper and lower, off to the dental lab and be done with it. I like to take it one step further. So what I'm going to do is go back into my in-lab software, close this case. I'm not going to save the case. We're then going to create a new order, and it's going to be 30, 31, final crowns, full gold crown. We're going to save and add. We don't have to do any selections here. All we're going to do is go to our scan tab. We don't actually have to scan, which is nice. We can import an STL file, which is what we're going to do. Because we're working on the lower jaw, our upper jaw or maxillary jaw is actually our counter jaw. So we'll click open. Now in the model builder, it automatically adds a base. 3D planning softwares don't like a based solid model. So we're going to go ahead and click yes to unbase the model that we applied. So that way when I send this off to the dental lab, they have a really nice, easy model to work with. All right, we're going to go to our lower jaw next. We're going to import the STL file. We're going to do our active jaw for 30 and 31. We're going to open up that model. Good. Now we're going to go to our occlusion. This is going to be that solid contact buccal bite model that we saved. Now this is going to reorient my upper jaw and my lower jaw together. So that way, when the lab gets this and they look at just your STL files without your buccal bite, they're already oriented in the proper position and they're ready to go. So here we go. So here's our models. We'll go ahead and click next. All right, the next thing I'm going to do is go around if any area that I want to edit. So all of these little areas right here where it tried to cut off my base, I'm just going to get rid of them to make life easier for my dental lab. Anywhere that I can make their life easier, I'm trying to do that, especially when it comes to a digital workflow. I want to make sure that I get a really nice result. And this only takes a couple minutes. If we're going to be doing a conventional PVS impression and sending this off, we'd still probably be working on taking our second arch, our counter jaw, while our PVS is setting. So if you look here, everything looks good. Doesn't take me very long to just go ahead and trim our models, get everything looking how I want it to look. There we go. There we go. And the last little bit right here. There we go. So now we'll check our occlusion again. There's our proper occlusion. We'll go ahead and set our model axis. Make sure that we set this how we want. Okay, so now at this point, we'll go ahead and hit File, Export. We'll export this as a high resolution STL, and we will put on here, this is 30, 31, final ADL, full gold crowns. Save, and we are done. So now the Army Dental Lab, when they get my case, is going to have a really nice, easy time looking at these full gold crown preps. It's going to be really hard for anybody to miss where my margin is at on these crowns. And it's going to be made exactly to the margin that I planned when I milled my provisional restorations, which I will show you a screenshot of, fit very, very well.